Good day everyone, I'm Hilda. Together with my team members Farah, Fatin and Muni will present a case study titled Out of Control Interview. Well, do you know what is interview? Have you been to any job interview before? And how was it? Before we analyze the case, let me briefly explain about interview. Interview is a conversation that occurs between two parties. And for a job interview, it is between the potential employer and the applicant. Interview is one of the methods used in recruitment or selection of candidates. The main purpose of a job interview can be reviewed from two perspectives, which are from the employer and the applicant perspective. From the employer's perspective, an interview is a final screening to see the applicant if he or she has the capabilities, competencies, personality, skills, and general fitness for the job offered. Then, from the applicant's point of view, apart from aiming for a job or new post, he or she can assess whether the job offered by the company aligns with his or her personal career goal. Interview or selection interview is very significant to human resource management to ensure a selection or hiring the right person with the right skill at the right time. So an interview will help to test the applicants directly during face-to-face interaction, and those who are qualified will be selected. There are many advantages of conducting interview apart from the selection of the right candidate. It helps to deepen the relationship between the two parties, encourage mutual understanding and cooperation between the potential employer and the applicant, and sufficient information also can be obtained because the interviewer can ask questions to the applicant and hear the response immediately. Then, the interview also has high flexibility because it can be structured or arranged differently based on the situation. Now, let's analyze the case study.
Okay, so I'm Nufara Ain and I'm going to present about the types of selection interviews. Basically, there are 6 types of selection of interview that are common, such as unstructured interview, structured interview, situational interview, job-related interview, stress interview, and panel interview. Okay, in unstructured or non-directive interview, it is usually occur when the manager follows no set of format like tell me about yourself. Meanwhile, for the structured interview, a full list of questions will be prepared by the employers in advance. Next, for the situational interview, it tends to happen when the interviewer asks the applicant or candidate what is his or her behavior would be in a given situation. Next, for the job-related interview, it is related to the interview in which the interviewer asks applicants questions regarding the job-relevant past experience, like which courses did you like best in business school. Next, for the stress interview, it is an interview in which the interviewer tends to make the applicant feel uncomfortable by a series of rude questions, like what is the worst thing you have heard about working with our company. Lastly, panel interview is an interview conducted by a team of interviewers where the applicant faces multiple interviewers of different departments in a company, and together they will be asking questions each candidate and combine their ratings of each candidate's answer into a final panel score, like what did your last job involve and why did you choose this career. Okay, so now we will move on to the next part, which is issues that are common in interview. Interview errors or issues that usually occur within an interview are first impressions, not clarifying what the job involves and requires, nonverbal behavior and impression management, effects of interviewers' personal characteristics, and interviewers' inadvertent behaviors. Okay, so in first error, first impressions or known as snap judgments, the interviewers tend to jump to conclusions in which they make a quick or snap judgment about the candidates during the first few minutes of the interview. Next, for the second error or issue, which is not clarifying what the job requires, shows that the interviewers do not have an accurate picture of what the job needs or requires and the type of applicant that is best for it. Next, for the non-verbal behavior and impression management error, it may also undermine the interview's usefulness because interviewers conclude or collect candidates' personality from how they behave in the interview. Not only that, effect of personal characteristics such as attractiveness, gender, or race also will play a role in this interview error. Lastly, for interview advertent behavior may also affect and undermine the usefulness of interview. Like interviewers talk so much that candidates cannot answer the questions, and some interviewers may also inadvertently point out expected answers. So, according to the out of control interview case study, the type of interview emphasized is stress interview. Because stress interview is an interview in which the interviewer tends to make the applicant feel uncomfortable by a series of rude questions. It is aimed to spot sensitive applicants and those with low or high stress tolerance.
Hi everyone, just now Farah had explained about types of interview in general and the types of interview used based on the case study. Next, I will move on to the main issues of this case. First, there are no proper interview guidelines provided by the panel interviewers when conducting the interview. This has resulted the interview to become out of control, offending and even aimless. For example, in the case study, the interviewers had asked Maria a question that was so irrelevant, whether she plans on starting a family soon. This will give the interviewees an impression that the panel is hard to get along and directly questions the company's workplace hospitality. Second issues are, the panel invited during the employment selection is not an expert in interviewing an applicant. Based on the case study, the panel interviewers is lacking in experience in human resource functions, some of them positioned in top level of administration and in charge of operations of the company, which is the president of the firm, 2 vice presidents, the marketing director, and an engineer. In addition to that, solutions for the main issues mentioned are company must prepare an interview guideline when interviewing. For instance, a structured interview. That is because during the interviews, the interviewers will ask all applicants the same questions based on the guidelines. This type of interview is likely to be more consistent and reliable. Besides, having a set of questions can also help you, experienced interviewers, to conduct a better interview. Moreover, the company should also include human resource managers to handle employment recruitment and not just line managers. This is because the managers would understand the role when interviewing. They will also focus on team cooperations and transferable skills.
So, in conclusion, a job interview is the best method to make a proper selection of a candidate and giving an adequate bridge or view from the applicant and the interviewer. However, in applying a proper interview, it is best if the stress interview is adequately handled to show the professionalism of a company, thus giving an excellent impression to the applicant. The question for the stress interview can be discussed beforehand, so the interview will not go out of control. This is a precaution that we should not take lightly in handling an interview. In conducting the interview, the skills to interview the applicants are essential, as it is also an image of the management in an organization. Also, we need to think about the need to conduct a stress interview. The question of a stress interview will not raise a sensitive and unnecessary issue in the interview, because any mistake in implying the stress interview can tarnish the image of the company's top management. So the point that the management wants to raise in the stress interview need to properly assess. And in our opinion, it is still the best to apply a structured interview and behavior interview questions to assess a competency applicant. Thank you.